folks, I'm back with another one. I hope you're well, I hope you and your family are doing good, and I hope, again, you're having a great time this summer, and all is as well as it can be with you. But yeah, I'm going to jump straight into this one, folks. This is a message, really, a video aimed at gambling companies. I live in the UK, so I will say the UK, but really all over the world. I can only speak on UK. My experience with UK gambling companies, casinos, and how they go about the business. And the things really I want to put across is what to watch out for. I'm sure they're aware, but they are still doing things that really are not helpful to someone when they are struggling. I don't claim to be anyone. I'm a relatively small channel. I've got 250 subscribers. Very loyal, and I much appreciate my subscribers. But relatively small channel. I don't claim to be anyone, but what I am doing is trying to spread the awareness of addiction, but in particular gambling addiction, and therefore I felt doing this video is part of that. And so I will get straight into it. So again, it's aimed at the companies, the casinos in the UK, whether it's sports betting or online games. I really am sort of in a position where I come across regular people saying to me that they're getting pestered. They're getting pestered by companies to come back and make a deposit. Come back and we will give you this. We will give you that. The stories in the media, which I'll put over this video now.
I think in the early days, I probably would spend up to, between 5,000 and 10,000, maybe a week. Sometimes it was a night.
5,000 or 10,000 a night.
You can see how much I'd actually deposited.
Is that 179,000? Is that right? And then June is 345,000. Am I reading that right?
If I hadn't gone online for a day, they were very quickly on the phone or sending me an email.
Well, how are you finding things on site at the moment? How's it all going for you? Not had a good run, really. So we've credited a lovely £100 bonus into your account for you. Oh, that's nice, thank you. Fingers crossed, hopefully I'll be your lucky charm. I'm doing it right now.
Yeah, she said sorry to hear that, and here's another bonus. They never question.
A couple of them where people have been struggling with gambling. They really have, and it's evident in how much they're depositing, and the frequencies, and the even the conversations with the casinos directly. It's very apparent that they are struggling with gambling addiction, but these companies are A, ignoring it, but B, are so greedy that they just keep going and completely show a lack of care for the person involved. Hands up, I do realise that some companies, it's not all, are doing their bit, be it forced a little bit by the UKGC and things like that, with the things they've got to do to get to keep the license, the background checks and things, the affordability checks. I accept that they are being done, but again, it's very recent. I was speaking to someone who is still getting pestered, and the things that I'm going to mention is in my experience, maybe it's not become too apparent to these companies that the lengths the gambling addicts will go to get around, to have a bet basically. And the things maybe they should watch out for, as well as, obviously, I really discourage any form of harassment in terms of offering free bets, offering incentives to come back and place a bet if the person's decided to step away. So, one very recent conversation, I'll explain it the best I can. The gambling addict had signed up to GamStop, which, they stopped receiving those sort of emails then, and text messages then, and phone calls. They stopped receiving them. However, what this gambling addict had done previously is signed up to the casino in their husband's name. I've done that before with my wife, and this person still had access to her husband's email. And yes, on their side, it's that they could put things in place to maybe lose that access to the email, but things happen. They might need the email for other things. But when they check the emails, there's messages, emails off companies saying, "Come back, please play. We will offer you 300% match bonus." Things like just all these sort of things. And in reality, that company never checked if it's actually the husband playing on the casino, or if it's indeed the wife who, on her account, had clearly displayed problems, and ultimately the account closed with GamStop. So I think the message in that little scenario is that when you are getting sign-ups, particularly from the same household address, I think it's vitally important, and some companies do this, don't get me wrong, but across the board, that you actually check it is another person making deposits, making withdrawals. It is another person using the account, because in my scenario, I signed up to casinos in my name. When I either closed the account or got the account closed, I would sign up in my wife's name. I really would, and the transactions on the card would be in my wife's name as well. And from a casino point of view, you're probably there, and you probably think, well, the card and the name match, it's them. But for me, when a person on their account is showing problems, signs of problems, or even telling you that they've got a problem, at that point, perhaps even before that, please double check. I really think it's important that you should double check, be it on the telephone or ask them to provide some sort of proof that then if you get an account signed up in the same household, it might not be the husband necessarily, it might be a brother, whoever who lives in the same household. I think it's vitally important that you check it is actually them making the deposits, it's them playing the games, it's them making the bets. And I really think that is something that it needs highlighting, because certainly I made thousands of pounds worth of deposits off my wife's card in my wife's name, and really she never knew about any of them until after I'd done them, and obviously I'd lost the money. And I spoke to customer services pretending to be my wife. It can be done if you really, really want to help. It can be done. You can ask them to prove it, be it like I said on the phone or some sort of proof. I'm sure you can come up with ways. That's something that I really, really think is important and very common as well. In my experience, speaking to gambling addicts, a lot of people have done the exact same. When they close the account or maybe sign up to GamStop, they use their partner's account, or brothers, or whoever lives in the same household. So yeah, that's one thing. Secondly, on the emails itself and the pestering, the you know, the text messages, the phone calls offering incentives to people who maybe haven't signed up to GamStop. I use GamStop because obviously in the UK that's the most powerful tool in my opinion to stop online gambling. I've done a video on how GamStop works in the videos below if you want to go and have a look at that. But in the UK, you know, people have got that option for GamStop, and when you talk about someone who's struggling with gambling, perhaps signing up to GamStop to them is closing the door on gambling. Certainly online for 5 years. And maybe at that point they're not quite ready to make that commitment, but they know they're struggling with gambling. And I'm sure as a company you will see behaviours on their account that suggest that they are really struggling. It may be that, you know, they're speaking to customer services trying to get free bets all the time. It may be that they are making really frequent deposits of varying amounts. It may be that the stakes have increased and increased and increased, particularly after a big loss, and you know, to try and chase it and get it back. It may be that this person really has come to you and told you, look, I'm struggling, but haven't closed the account. It's these scenarios, and again, I know there is things in place with the UKGC and such that, you know, you do affordability checks and things, but there are still cases where, besides that happening, you are pestering companies. As a company, you are pestering these people. You are sending them free bet offers. You are sending them deposit matches and things like that. And, you know, ultimately you are trying to lure them back in if they have taken a break or whatever. And for me, it's fairly obvious. It's just not necessary. You know, for that person who's struggling, you know, we're only too keen in the gambling industry. I see it quite a lot. You know, there's a small percentage who are problem gamblers, but there's many who enjoy it. Stick to those who enjoy it and who are able to manage it. You don't need that extra person's deposits who's struggling. You don't. You know, even if they deposited £20,000, in the grand scheme of things, if you're a big enough casino company, you don't need that. You really don't. Leave them in peace. Don't try and lure them back in. If they've taken a break and, you know, they're in a place where eventually they can come back and feel that they can gamble responsibly, you may get the money off them anyway. You know, they may win and then they may come back and lose it. You don't need to chase them. You don't need to try and lure them back in. Forget about the money. You're talking about people's lives here. You really are. You know, these people who are struggling and you're pestering them with messages, emails, phone calls. And again, I've earlier on in the video, I've overlaid some stories. They don't need it. They really don't need it. On top of the addiction, they may have other things going off that's affecting their mental health. They may not even be able to make their own decisions in terms of, they may not be able to think straight to make a decision. And if they have got other mental health issues, they may see gambling as an escape from that. You know, you are responsible as a company, surely, to not drag someone even further down if they're struggling. You know, if they are struggling outside of gambling and they do see it as an escape, all it takes is one little message, one little offer, and they may see, yes, I can have my escape, but not only can I have my escape, look at what they're offering me. Let me go and let me win. You know, and it's just a false sense of security. It's wrong on so many levels. It really is. You don't need their money. You really don't. If you're struggling as a casino company, sort it out. Please don't take it off someone who is struggling. You know, don't take them down with you. You don't need that money. I'm not trying to tar every casino company and, you know, sports betting company with the same brush, bookmakers. I'm not, because there are some who are better than others. But I think across the board, overall, there's a lot of hassling that goes off. There's a lot of, you know, companies that are not behaving in a responsible manner to the customers, you know, and it really is, you know, in my mind, it's almost like, it's almost like a club inviting someone to come and have a dance when they've got a broken leg. You know, they know that they're gonna be worse for going and dancing, but they also know the person might quite fancy coming to the club. You know, and to me, you wouldn't do that as a club. You wouldn't invite someone to come and dance with a broken leg. But in gambling terms, someone has got a broken leg. That, you know, in desperate times and desperate places, they've got more than a broken leg. They really are in bits, and you're there luring them back in with free bets and things. Oh, okay. Sometimes these messages might be automatic, but that's where your customer services come in, surely. That's where your responsible gambling teams come in, surely, and take a look at the account as a human and take a look at the patterns. I think also on the company side of things, I've spoken about this briefly. Fake casino streamers, I'm going to do a video on them specifically. You don't need to employ fake casino streamers who play you with demo accounts or money that you as a company have provided just to advertise your company. Please don't do that. It's wrong. It really is wrong. You know why it's wrong. I will do a video on it. And for me, if you are doing that as a company, granted not many in the UK are doing that, but there are some. If you are doing that as a company, I just really urge you to rethink your strategy for marketing, because really that is a really low way to go. But yeah, I wanted to make this video and speak, in my opinion, you know, in my experience and that I've seen around gambling addiction, about the dangers of pestering, about the really dangerous situations you could be putting someone in, all for what? For what? You know, for an extra little bit of money, profit, but to meet targets. What does it really matter? You know, someone, and it sounds blunt and it sounds extreme, but someone you lure back in with these offers, someone could take that, they could escape back to gambling, they could chase a loss because you've offered them an incentive to do so, and it could be the last bet they ever have. They could commit suicide. They could lose everything. For what? For an extra little bit of profit, to meet a target, to keep them on board. Really? Really? Think about it. Right, I'll leave it there, folks. I'll leave it there. Maybe this video hasn't come across how I wanted it to. Maybe it has, but I wanted to put that message across. Please think about it, companies out there. Again, I don't claim to be anyone big. I don't claim to have a voice in the industry. I'm just a small-time YouTuber who's trying to raise the awareness of what addiction and gambling addiction can do, and in my experience has done, and having seen it many times across gambling addicts that I come across, well, even just gamblers that I come across. Please think twice. You know, I'm no one, but there's many voices that I'm speaking for who have struggled, and part of the reason they've struggled, not the whole reason, is because of your behaviours as companies, offering, pestering, throwing everything to keep them gambling, when ultimately it's for what? What is it for? Money. Think about it. Catch you on the next one, folks.